forward again.
Moving forward again, yes. And human rights groups do, Foreign Secretary, sometimes complain that Sunnis from Yemen and Pakistan and Jordan are moving to Bahrain, having their citizenship fast-tracked, and are then joining the security police and so on. That's a sort of ongoing complaint from Shias. How can you improve the relationships with the Shia population, do you see, Foreign Secretary?
Well, you know, the Shia population are a part of our society, so we don't see it as a Sunni Shia problem or as a government Shia problem. This is a problem that our country is facing, and we will definitely address it, but we would like to prefer not to go along sectarian lines in this dialogue coming up. We would prefer it to be a dialogue between all Bahrainis, and this what would make it a healthy dialogue. And there's no doubt that every component of our society, including the Shias, the Sunnis, and everyone, and including the expats who are living with us here and an important part of our economy, everyone has a say. So definitely issues like these, issues of naturalization can be discussed, and we have a case to put forward, and complaints are there, and we think we will always reach an agreeable solution.
How about the situation in the world around you, like Libya and so on? Does that affect people's attitudes in Bahrain? I mean, the Libyan attitude is rather different to the Bahraini attitude.
Well, there's no doubt that what's happening in Libya is very tragic. It's complete mayhem, and that makes us worry about this important country overlooking the Mediterranean, just south of Europe, a member of the Arab League, and you know, we do want it to be stable and open up and be more democratic. But definitely the situation is different than what happened in other places like Tunisia, Egypt, or even here in Bahrain, which is also very different. But there's no doubt what brings all this region together is that there's a wave of transformation happening all over the place, and every country will be affected one way or another. Maybe already all of them already affected somehow by taking positive policies. So let's look at it positively. Only successful countries that have a good partnership between a ruler and the people, between government and civil society, those are the countries that will succeed. Otherwise, what I'm worried about, and we're seeing an example, say, like for maybe in Libya or some other countries, I'm worried about countries that the people are not well represented or living in constant fear.
And in fact, you said a day or two ago, in the days since February the 14th, I've aged a decade. May we never experience such tragedies in Bahrain again. That's been the effect on you of this crisis.
Actually, I was retweeting a friend of mine who was on Twitter, and he said he aged a decade and then wished Bahrain all the best, and I added the word amen. I wish Bahrain all the best.
Well, thank you very much indeed for joining us, Foreign Minister Day. We really appreciate that. Great thanks.
Thank you.
Great thanks.
Thank you very much.
During the 2009 Israeli incursion into the Gaza Strip, a prominent Palestinian doctor, Izzeldin Abuleish, witnessed the death of his 3 daughters and his niece when his house was shelled in an Israeli attack, still unexplained. Just moments afterwards, Dr. Abuleish's pain and anguish was broadcast live on Israeli TV when he made a desperate phone call to an Israeli journalist and friend. Despite the personal tragedy, however, Dr. Abuleish does not seek revenge, never has tried to, and he's just written a personal memoir called Abuleish. The story of Abuleish, I Shall Not Hate. I Shall Not Hate. And it's a great joy, Izzeldin, to have you with us today. Will you take us back to that awful day of 16th of January 2009 and what happened then, particularly after lunch?
That day is following my life every day. It's with me. It's not that day. It's today, tomorrow, and after tomorrow. That day, the 16th of January 2009, 4:45 p.m., is the day when an Israeli tank shell to hit my daughter's room seconds after I left their room. I didn't believe it. To go back to see those lovely, beautiful, bright daughters became parts, decapitated, drowning in a pool of blood for nothing they did. And there was no reason to be killed. They were girls. But as a believer, I felt when Gazans became numbers, to count them as if they have no names, no faces. It's time to stop this craziness.
Yes, and we should point out there that in fact, yes, you are a Muslim and a Palestinian, and you were in Gaza at the time, just back.
I am a Muslim, I am Palestinian, but I am a human being who is connected to others and feel the pain and suffering of others. It's time, as I said, to stop this craziness. And as a believer, I realize this tragedy is for good and will be invested for good, which satisfied me the second day when Ehud Olmert, the Israeli Prime Minister, announced unilateral ceasefire to save lives, but we don't want to be killed to save. We want to prevent and not to treat, and to realize and work for the values of a human being, that the most holy thing is a human being, and the freedom. Freedom of all, of fear, of poverty, of ignorance.
Yes, so that you said on several occasions that your daughters will not have, you hope they will not, and they will not have died in vain. How could it be that they did not die in vain, that they died and made an achievement by their...
They will, and I am determined. I said it. I swore to God and to my daughters not to relax or to rest till I meet them one day, because I will meet them with the big gift to bring them the justice, to make a difference in others' lives with good deeds, wisdom, and kind words. It will make, and I will continue, and I am determined to work for that holy and noble cause.
How do you take this tragedy of the three daughters and so on, and make it have an effect on government ministers in different countries?
At the end, those ministers are a human being.
Yep.
And they are one of us. And we must count on the people, the human being. And we must not underestimate this tragedy or any act you are doing. My daughter Bisan, God bless her soul, at the age of 14, she said, everything starts small, then becomes big. Everything starts in one place, then goes in different directions. Just to act, the small act, it can make a difference. And I fully believe it can make a difference from what did I see among the people I meet. And the other thing, we want the people to take action. It's time for the people to take action. And it's a lesson for the leaders in this world. We need them to be risk takers and challenging, and their eyes to be focused on their nations, on the people, on the humanity, not their eyes on the next election or their possession. It's time. Nothing is impossible in life. And the word impossible is not in my vocabulary. The only impossible thing is to return my daughters back.
Yeah,
but I can keep them living with the deeds and the acts. If I want to hate, hate is a poison, is a toxin. It's a fire which eats the one who carried it. And the one you want to hate, is he thinking of you? No. One day he will wake up through the success and the messages you sent him.
Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
In 2003, 8 tourists were kidnapped by a rebel group while trekking in the Colombian jungle. British TV producer Mark Henderson was one of them. His ordeal lasted for 101 days before he was returned to safety. 11 months after his release, Mark received a friendly email from one of his captors. It was the beginning of a 5-year correspondence between Mark and Antonio. 6 years after he was taken hostage, Mark returned to Colombia to meet his captor. The result is a documentary called My Kidnapper, and Mark is with us now. But first of all, let's just take a look at that film.
I don't know what to expect, I suppose.
Yeah.
And kind of, it almost feels like I'm going to see a friend because we've been organising for so long, and then actually you remember I'm not going to see a friend. I'm also wondering what, you know, how the conversation's going to go. What's he going to, you know? I know I've got lots of questions for him, but I don't know how the beginning of it's going to go. Will it be awkward? Will it be?
I don't even know how to say hello. I don't know. I don't really feel like hugging them. I don't really feel like shaking hands. I don't really feel like saying like hello. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
What was the thing that hit you first, that you were being captured, or did it take more than a day to sink in?
I mean, when they first came in, they told us they were a group of paramilitaries and that they were taking us to safety. So actually the first few hours we thought we were being taken to safety, away from some drug bandits, or, you know, their story kept on changing though. So throughout that first day, it slowly started to dawn on us that actually this didn't sound right. It was actually 6 o'clock the next morning, 6 a.m, that one of the commandantes of that group stood in front of us and said, "You have been kidnapped, you're now being held hostage."
So that was the next morning. And how exhausting was it, the capture and the next 100 days? How exhausting, how frightening? Were there moments when you thought you were in danger of death?
I mean, for the first 3 weeks we didn't know who they were. We just knew that we'd been kidnapped. They turned out to be a left-wing Marxist guerrilla group, but in the first 3 weeks we didn't know who they were, and so you don't know what they can do to you. As soon as they told us they're a political group, part of our brains kind of decided that, do you know what, they're not